Hello and welcome to another podcast edition of Taiwan Talk, ICRT's weekly interview segment, bringing you conversations from and about Taiwan. I'm Keith Manconi. Now, if you are a city dweller, like me, living up here in Taipei, you probably spend a lot of your time thinking of ways to get out of the city. And we've discussed a number of them on the show before, whether, you want to head out, do some hiking. There's, ballooning a bit further south down in Taidong. There's really no end to the stuff you can do in Taiwan. But one thing you might want to add to your list is surfing. Word on the street is that Taiwan actually has got some pretty good waves, and people are starting to notice. Now, if you are also like me, the idea of driving out, heading to the coast, and jumping on a board might be a little intimidating. So today on the show, we are bringing on a guy who's trying to make it easier to learn the ins and outs of surfing Taiwan. Brent Calkins is the founder of a startup that's just about to release a website and app aimed at providing surfers with all the info they'll need to hit the waves in Taiwan. It's got a great name, too. You ready for this? Taiwan Surf. Taiwan Surf. I'll let that sink in. I invited Brent in to tell us a bit more about the app and why it's a good time to be a surfer in Taiwan. Brent Calkins, thanks so much for speaking with us today.
Thanks, Keith. I appreciate it.
So just to start things out, introduce us to Taiwan Surf. Let's just start with the real nitty-gritty here. What can users expect when they go to this website? How are you hoping that they'll use it?
Okay, well, for surfers, we want Taiwan Surf to be the comprehensive one-stop shop for surfers in Taiwan. Basically, surfers who want to get forecasts on Taiwan, surf reports, information on surf businesses, retail shops, surf shops, surf hostels, any type of surf business in Taiwan that'll be listed on our website, making it easy for them to locate. Also, educational information, how-tos on surfing, tutorials, education on ocean awareness, things like this, surf etiquette. Basically, we want to provide all the information that surfers need to help improve their surfing. So you're telling me that this is going to be a bilingual webpage, both English and Chinese. But it sounds like, whether you're looking for this stuff in English or Chinese, right now there's really just kind of a patchwork that you're up against. There's really no one place that you can go currently. That's correct. It will be bilingual, both Chinese and English. And yeah, that's kind of the problem I had when I first started surfing in Taiwan, is that I went online to find information on where are the good spots in Taiwan to surf, where are the surf shops, surf hostels, where can I go and buy some board shorts. I went online and I couldn't find anything. I could find some websites, but like you said, it was just kind of patchwork, a little bit of information here, a little bit of information there, but nothing really comprehensive that had everything that a surfer needs.
Right, and anybody who's ever gone shopping in Taiwan, as anybody who's done that knows, you really need to know a location before you know where you can get stuff. I mean, maybe that's a sports store, but psych out, it's only for badminton. Everything is very, very local here. You need that extra information. For those of us who are not necessarily knowledgeable about surfing, what is the kind of information that a real surfer is really going to be looking for? What do they need to know when it's a good time to go to the beach?
Okay, so for a more advanced surfer, the biggest thing that we want are surf forecasts and surf reports. We want to go online and look, okay, my favorite spot over here in Elan. What do the waves look like right now? What are the conditions? If I go there right now, am I going to catch some good waves? And then looking into the future, a few days, if you want to plan your week, if you have one day off this week, or if you can only surf on the weekend, I want to see what the waves are going to be doing this weekend. Are they going to be good here? Are they going to be better here? So you can plan ahead and go to the spot that you want to go to. Based on how good the waves are.
And right now, there's just no good source for that?
Yeah, there are some sources for that, but nothing specifically focused on Taiwan. You can go to, for instance, Magic Seaweed, and they have surf forecasts. But we want something more localized. Basically, for all the main surf spots in Taiwan, all the information on those surf spots, and also basically giving the surfer more detailed information based on surfers in Taiwan.
Where does the data come from? Is this something the Central Weather Bureau puts out?
We can get some of the data from there. We can get data from NOAA, which is a website based in the United States. They provide a lot of weather data, wave forecasts, wave models, things like that. And that's what most of the bigger websites like Magic Seaweed, SwellNet, that's where they get their information
There's
from.
so many good surfer puns all over the place. I'm loving it. I'm loving it. So let's talk a little bit more broadly about surfing in Taiwan and why this is something that you and the other people in your team are really interested in fostering. And let's just start with how you originally got interested in surfing, because interestingly, you were not interested in surfing until you came to Taiwan. So tell us a little bit about what it was about surfing in Taiwan that hooked you.
Okay. Well, yeah, you're right. I lived in Chicago for 13 years before moving to Taiwan, so there aren't really any waves there other than surfing the Great Lakes there.
The surfing forecast would be grim.
Yes, it would not be very good. So yeah, I would go to the beach sometimes, and my wife and I went to the beach one weekend. It was actually my birthday, and her friend is actually a surf instructor in Fulong, and I said, I want to learn how to surf properly. So he gave me a surf lesson, showed me how to stand up and whatnot, and I started surfing and just absolutely fell in love with it. There's just a really deep connection there with the ocean, with the environment, and I just fell in love with it. So that's when I started looking online for information. What are the good surf spots in Taiwan, and where are the surf hostels, the surf businesses where I can find things.
And it does seem like it's catching on with other people, too. I'm basing most of this just on what I read in the newspaper, because they don't let me out of the studio too terribly often. But just based on what I'm seeing, it does seem like this is something that more and more locals and expats are getting into over the last several years.
Absolutely. It is growing quite a bit in Taiwan. And that's a good thing and a bad thing. And one of the things we want to focus on, because a lot of the more well-known surf spots are becoming heavily populated, and the water is getting dangerous, especially when you have a lot of beginners in the same surf spot. Something we want to foster, something we want to educate, especially youth surfers, is surf etiquette, ocean awareness, so that we can make the water safer for all surfers, beginners up to advanced surfers, so that the water's safer for everybody.
Right. So it does seem like a big part of your mission is not just information, but also, I guess, maybe just introducing the concept of getting better at this and developing a community and a consciousness around this activity in general.
Absolutely. Yes. Obviously, our biggest purpose is to serve surfers. The website is completely free to surfers, but we also want to improve the surf community, the entire community, from surfers to surf businesses, with education, so that everybody can work together to make it better. One thing we don't want are surf businesses competing with other surf businesses. Obviously, they have to. They're businesses. But we want everybody to be on the same page, as far as education and making the surf community better, making it safer, making Taiwanese, not only surfers, but Taiwanese in general, more educated about the ocean, more educated about the environment, keeping the beaches clean, keeping the oceans clean. Things like that. And then also we want to foster, projects that help the environment and the beaches. We will dedicate 5% of our profits towards projects that foster those things, educate youth, and also foster and implement projects to help keep the beaches clean, educate surfers and Taiwanese in general.
And picking up a little bit on that education question, I mean, I think that there is a little bit of a difference in culture, maybe even in attitudes towards the beach than you might see in North America. Again, this is really just based on reading I've done, so I'm interested to hear your take. But it does sound like it's only the last 10 years or so that a beach destination has become very popular in Taiwan. So, I mean, you're working with a lot of local Taiwanese in your business as well. So you do have that local connection. You've I'm sure, had a lot of conversations about this. What kind of challenges are there in terms of education?
It is true. It's interesting because Taiwan is an island,
right.
And it has some amazing, beautiful beaches, yet the general public are afraid of the ocean. And that goes back to education, because the majority of Taiwanese, especially the older generation, have never been properly educated about ocean awareness. And some people go to the ocean and they don't know how to swim. I'm amazed with how many Taiwanese don't know how to swim. My wife, she doesn't know how to swim. Hopefully she won't get mad at me for saying that. Sorry, honey. But I'm just amazed with how many Taiwanese can't swim, and they live on an ocean with beautiful beaches. So yes, and like I said, it just goes back to education, and that's one of the areas that we want to contribute to, is supporting that and educating Taiwanese.
Let's talk about the environmental issues that you're sort of picking up on there, because I've been to Fulong, I've been to some of the North Coast beaches, and I was shocked the first time I went. I mean, there are certainly, I mean, don't get me wrong, there are certainly many Taiwanese people that put in time every single week to cleaning up the beaches. I mean, when I was there, I saw a huge group of people that were just volunteers that just decided to use their Saturday to clean up the beaches. So there is that mentality there, but at the same time, there's a ton of trash.
Yes.
And so just based on your observations, where does that come from and how do you deal with it?
Yeah. Well, I think you're right. There are more and more groups that are being organized that do monthly, sometimes weekly beach cleans, which is very, very important. That's something that we have to continue, something we have to foster. But the problem lies in the city. I hate to say it, but, I've been in Taiwan for 8 years, and I can count on two hands how many times I've just seen somebody just blatantly throw litter on the ground. One time I remember there was one guy, he walked right past a garbage can, and 5 feet later he threw trash on the ground. And it just blew my mind. And again, that goes back to education, but that's where the trash starts. It starts in the city. You throw some trash on the ground, the rain takes it in together, and then eventually it ends up in the ocean.
Right. So it's not necessarily people at the beach littering on the beach. It's really a more systematic problem.
It's both. It's both. I mean, there are people who go to the beach and just leave their trash there, which is just unbelievable. But yeah, unfortunately, there are people like that. And, I think they need to be educated. Once they see a seagull, a dead seagull with its stomach open, and there's nothing in there but plastic and trash.
Yeah.
And once these people can, see images of what that trash that they leave on the beach, what it's doing to the ocean, what it's doing to marine life, what it's doing to other animals, then I think they will change their outlook on it, and it'll improve. But yeah, there just needs to be more education.
Let's talk a little bit about Taiwan as a place to surf. My knowledge here is really limited. I've just done a little bit of reporting. I mean, there's the Taiwan Open of Surfing that last November, it was down in Taidong in Jinzun, that area, and it was sold. It was, I mean, I'm only basing this on what the government officials were saying. It was sold, Jinzun is sold as like an amazing surfer paradise. But let's get your take. I mean, is Taiwan an amazing surfer paradise?
Taidong is an amazing surfing paradise. Great waves down there. But in general, yes, Taiwan is a great surfing country. It's a great place to surf. It's not on on the scale of, like an Australia or Hawaii. The waves aren't that great, but they're just not as consistent. And the wave in general is not very long. It depends on where you surf, but the quality of the wave isn't the greatest in the world, but it's great. And it's fun.
So that's why you need a little bit of app help there.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. You get some more information, education, and get some better forecasts, and it'll even be better.
I mean, is it picking up as a destination for real serious surfers as well?
I think so, yes. There's a few tour groups out there, surf tour groups, and it seems like they have a pretty good, steady group of people coming in from New Zealand, Australia, all over the world, basically. And, some of the places they're coming from are, good surf spots. I think one thing about Taiwan, it's still pretty much untapped. If you look at it in terms of, okay, we're going to go to, even if you compare it to Japan, because surfing in Japan is fairly popular. If somebody is traveling through Asia and they want to get a quick surf trip in, Taiwan is a perfect location for that. It's easily accessible, and also they know if they come here, they're going to be able to go to surf spots where there's nobody else in the water. And I mean, when you bring it down, every surfer wants to be in the water with only a couple of their buddies in the water, and not 100 other people.
Right. There's a little territorial there.
Yeah, unfortunately.
So it sounds like there's a way of looking at this where it's getting more popular, and it's kind of a race against time to keep up, the education and the understanding of how to maintain good beaches and how to maintain good surf culture that needs to keep up with the demand.
Yes, yeah, and one of the things like I mentioned, it's going to get bigger regardless, and so we want to find solutions to how to improve it. And, it's great that more people enjoy it because it's such an amazing, I don't want to call it a sport, but it's such an amazing thing to do. So we want to find solutions to make it where there aren't so many people in the water that it just becomes too dangerous and no fun. For instance, we want to implement webcams around the island at the major surf spots. And one thing that's going to do, we implement the webcams, the surf cams, is that, for instance, at Usha Harbor in Elan, is a very heavily surfed surf spot. And it's pretty dangerous just because there's so many people in the water. So, if somebody at home, on their sofa looks at the webcam online or in the app and sees, oh, there's 5 million surfers in the water, I'm going to go somewhere else. Or, I'm not going to go surfing today. Things like that, that will alleviate some of the stress in the water. Just so everybody's happier and safer.
Yeah. Take some pressure off of those busy spots. That kind of reminds me, though, and maybe we can talk a little bit about the culture of surfers here, what kind of mentality they bring to the beaches. Because I grew up in Northern California, and I remember, there were certain beaches, like in Santa Cruz, for example, where you don't go there unless you know people there. I mean, and it was very territorial. I heard stories, you would get your tires slashed if you went to the wrong beach. And people, like, that was like a note of pride. Like, you have to, our surfers are serious. They'll slash your tires if you get in their space.
Yeah.
Is there any kind of culture like that here? Is it an easier kind of scene to break into?
It's much easier to break into here in Taiwan. I've heard many stories about that in California and other places. I haven't heard any stories about people slashing tires or beating anybody up. Every now and then you get a disgruntled surfer in the water who thinks all the waves belong to him. Yeah. But it's rare. I mean, I can count on one hand how many times I've seen something like that happen. I've never seen anybody get in a fight. I've never heard anybody I've seen a few times people yelling and things like that. But again, most people, actually, it's pretty cool. I was surfing the other day, and one surfer dropped in on another surfer, and basically that means somebody's already on the wave, and then a person in front of him dropped into the wave, so it made it very dangerous for the person who was already on the wave, because he had to wipe out or get off the wave, so that he wouldn't
to avoid
hitting the other surfer, and he could have gotten angry, he could have yelled at him, but he just went back. When he went back to the lineup, he just said, "Hey, you can't do that. You can't." And basically, he just educated him, gave him a surf tip, some etiquette on what that surfer should do. So you see more of that. People, surfers educating in Taiwan more than people yelling. At least, that's my experience. So, I think it's a really good surf culture here in Taiwan. The surfers in Taiwan love to help. Pretty much with anything. But if it's related to surfing or beaches, the ocean, the environment, they want to help. They want to do something good. And so I think it's a really tight knit surf community in Taiwan.
So that's going to be encouraging to some of the folks that maybe are less experienced, such as myself. For those folks, I mean, let's just give them the very basics. I mean, let's imagine somebody's listening to this interview on a Saturday morning, and they're thinking to themselves, you know what, I want to give this a try this afternoon. What's your advice to them? How can somebody break into this? What's the best beach to go to for your first couple of times? Where's the spots to get started?
Well, Eland's a very popular area. There are many surf shops there with lots of instructors. So you can go there as one person. You can go there as a group. Grab some of your friends. Go down to Eland. Go to Wushigang. Again, like I said, there's a lot of surf shops there that can help you. You go down there. You can rent a surfboard for 500 NT for the day. You can get some instructions for 1,000, 1,500. So I mean it's super easy to if you want to learn how to surf. It's very easy. I mean
it's set up.
Yeah, and most of the main surf spots. I mean, you can go to Fulong, Jinshan. You can go anywhere. I'm just naming off northern surf spots. But anywhere on the island that has major surf spots, you're going to be able to find a surf instructor that can teach you, and usually Chinese and English. So that's pretty good. A lot of the surf shop owners, they're fluent in English as well. So that's good. But it's really easy. And our website is going to make that even easier because we're going to have a list of all the surf businesses. So if you're in Jinshan and you want to just go onto the website and click Jinshan, and there'll be a list of all the surf shops and instructors there. So.
And my understanding is just because it's winter doesn't necessarily mean it's a bad time to go to the beaches in Taiwan?
Actually, for diehard surfers, more advanced surfers, winter is better. The waves are much better, more consistent. During the summertime, right now, the waves are flatter. They're usually flat. Unless we get a typhoon, then the waves are really great. But of course, we can't surf the day before, the day of, and the day after a typhoon because the government says so, which I guess I'll say is a good thing. But I don't want to because that's when the waves are the best.
Okay, we've angered your girlfriend. We've angered the government.
Yeah,
we're angering a lot of focus groups.
I shouldn't anger the government because actually, we want to work with the government. We want to collaborate with them. So again, going back to the safety and all that. So.
I hope my buddy Thomas isn't listening to this either, because I've been trying to talk him out of going to the beach during typhoon days for years. So Thomas, if you're listening, I still don't approve. Let's go to the broader picture though, and just think a little bit about. It does seem like outdoor sports in general are kind of on the upswing in Taiwan. What do you think? What is if we're trying to find like how having a strong surf culture changes a country even more broadly than just having an extra activity out there? Do you think that this does in a way foster more understanding of the environment, or maybe foster some better attitudes towards sport in general? What are your thoughts on that?
I think so. Yes. I mean, look at Taiwan. If you're an outsider, if you've never been to Taiwan, like I will say most Americans are fairly ignorant on Taiwan. It's a beautiful country. It has beautiful mountains, beautiful beaches. The ocean's beautiful. There's just so many outdoors, beautiful nature areas in Taiwan. And yes, I think things like this can help improve those things. And one thing, as an American living in Taiwan, you mentioned sports. I feel that sports is really lacking in Taiwan. A really good structured sports system. And I think there needs to be more of that because kids in general here are now I'm going to go off on the education system. The kids here are in school way too much. They're in school from morning until night. Some of them late at night. So they need to get out more and be active. And I mean, what better place to do it than in the mountains or on the beach or because again, Taiwan has so many beautiful places to go. I mean,
yeah, it does seem like a kind of insane, the amount of beach resources here. It almost seems like an untapped national resource.
Absolutely.
All right. Well, on that note, we are going to wait with bated breath for the app to come out. Look forward to that very much. But for now, we have been speaking today to Brent Calkins. He is the founder of Taiwan Surf. And we will be throwing links up to that website as soon as it's out on the ICRT blog. So look for that there. Brent, thanks so much for coming in today.
Thanks, Keith. I really appreciate it. It's been great.
Thanks for listening to another podcast edition of Taiwan Talk. Taiwan Talk, of course, broadcasts every Monday at 8 a.m. and 6 p.m. on ICRT FM 100. Listen for that right after the top of the hour newscast there. Brent told me a little bit after the interview that they are on track to release the website and app on October 10th. So you can look for that then. We will throw up some links on our blog, as I just mentioned right there, so just look for the post about this episode. Until then, you can visit what they have up right now, which is at taiwanasurf.com.tw. Still love that name. And you can go there to subscribe and get updates and all that good stuff. That is it for the show today for ICRT and Taiwan Talk. I'm Keith Manconi. See you next time.